somewhere Les Wallace is sitting wondering why he's getting no respect in this conversation. But let's talk about the beaten finalists. It's our question of the week. Michael Smith, for the sixth time, has now been a runner-up in a major event. Closest he's come at the World Championships, and second closest he's come after the Masters a couple years ago, where he missed starts to win it. Will, though, Michael Smith win that first major sometime this year?
Yeah, this is the big question. And looking at our poll at the moment, it's going to be running for the rest of the week. So get involved. We've got 57% of you going with yes, 43% of you going with no. And I guess it is easy to say straight after these events when someone has lost a final and come so close to doing it that they are going to get over the line this year. And Peter Wright said it himself, the guy that produced that stunning burst of legs to win 9 of the last 10 to take the title from underneath Michael Smith's nose. He said after the final that once he gets one major, he's going to trounce everyone. Now, whether he does that, I'm not so sure, but I do think that first major title is probably closer now than it's ever been before. And I know he's mismatched starts to win major titles before, other titles on TV before, but I really do think that he is getting closer now. And I was listening to the TalkSport coverage before the start of the final. Chris Mason called him Michael Smith 2.0, and we spoke about it on our last show before the quarterfinals, the win that Michael had against Johnny Clayton, a match of the year contender. There was a growing sense that this was going to be his time, and he backs it up with a win against Gerwyn Price in the next round, 5-4, and another deciding set, knocks off James Wade 6-3 to make the final. And the final itself, going 2-0 down, coming back, taking the lead, the position that he was in, 5-4 up in sets, 2-0 up, and then we see that 113 average from Peter Wright. Michael himself didn't drop off too much, did he? 98, 99 average for those last 10 legs. Had a few shots at the ball, a dart at tops, but aside from that, didn't manage to carve out any real opportunities at doubles to stop that barrage that was coming at him from Peter Wright. But I think he is going to be really disappointed with this defeat, and it'll probably hurt more than those finals that he did miss the match starts in, because he said it in multiple interviews that the World Championship is the dream for him, that title is the one that he wants. He works 12 months of the year towards that event, and to be 4 legs away from winning it, it's going to hurt for a little while. But I think once the dust settles, he should look back on these last 3 weeks, and I hope he does. He'll look back on the run with a lot of positives to take, not just from the run at Ali Pali, but the last 6 months he has put himself back in the mix as a genuine contender to win these major titles, because that was his first TV final, a singles final, in almost 2 years, the Masters 2020. He's not been in a TV singles final since then until yesterday. So it's been probably the longest time he's been without a big final like that since his first one in the Premier League. So he's had some hard times, but he's come back and he is looking, I think, better than ever before. And to beat Johnny Clayton, Gerwyn Price back-to-back games in a World Championship, to be 2 sets away from the World Championship, I think his time is going to come this year. And it may be a weekend event, it may be the Masters or the UK Open, but we've also seen from this World Championship that the longer events that go over a week, he can produce it as well. It's just that final hurdle, and hopefully there'll be someone at the end of it that doesn't average 113 for the last 10 legs, and maybe he does get that little bit of fortune, or maybe he produces that 113 average. But yeah, I think he's closer now than ever, and if I was to be a betting man, I'd be backing him to do it this year.
Yeah, I am in full agreement. And you go back to when he was 5-4, 2-0 up. And that was where he had the opportunity. And he didn't play his best for a few legs. He didn't play poorly, but he didn't play well. And Peter Wright upped his game. But after that, he didn't do much wrong. He just ran into someone playing better. And Michael Smith continued playing at a level that for most of that match, after falling 2-0 behind, would have been enough to get him over the line. And would have most likely led to that championship. But those 3 legs are what let him down. But he is a different player than he was before. He's shown it. If the player that he was before wouldn't have followed that win over Johnny Clayton by another win over Gerwyn Price, and then followed that up with another win over James Wade, who played fairly well in that match. And Wade played easily his best match of the tournament. That's not saying much, because despite making the semifinals, Wade did not play at his best. But he played the best that he did all tournament against Michael Smith, and threatened to fight back in that match, but Michael Smith didn't let him, and Michael Smith got over that line, because this is a different Michael Smith. This is a Michael Smith now that looks like a world champion, looks like a major champion, and it took someone who was playing at his level for an entire tournament to stop him. You ended up with a match between the two best players over the fortnight, over the 16 days. And when it was all said and done, one of them just managed to get over the line because one of them would have had to. Someone had to win that match. It happened to be Peter Wright because he lifted his game at the right moments. Michael Smith lifted his game at the right moments in 3 other matches. And eventually he will not run into someone like Peter Wright who's doing that exact same thing back at him. And when will that be? Like you said, it could be at one of those weekend events. It could be at the Masters. It could be at the UK Open. But he is now ready to do that. And that will happen this year. Michael Smith I wasn't planning to say as a future major champion, a future world champion, because I thought he would be already after beating Johnny Clayton, after beating Gerwyn Price. I thought this was his tournament. His tournament is not far off. He will win his first major this year. It's my early guarantee for tip of the year because he will. Although really how much of a tip it is it when he's been that close? But he will. I'm guaranteeing it. He will win his first major this year. In fact, I'm going to go a step further. He's going to win his second major this year. That's also a guarantee.